Ben Carson, One Nation, What We Can All Do to Save America's Future. In One Nation, What We Can All Do to Save America's Future by Ben Carson, the author challenges the notion of political correctness and exposes the dangers it poses to open discussion and progress in America. He argues that people should not be silenced simply because they hold a particular view or opinion, even if that view is deemed controversial. In parallel, he explores how entitlement programs can contribute to the disenfranchisement of certain communities, and outlines the importance of self-reliance, education, and personal responsibility. Through historical context and relatable anecdotes, Carson encourages readers to actively participate in the democratic process and consider the true values on which America was built.
The Fallacy of Political Correctness. The book highlights the harmful effects of political correctness, which bars free speech and leads to the downfall of society. The author argues that liberal elites promote political correctness to stifle open discussion and maintain their position of power. The media and politicians are part of the political correctness police, who forbid people from speaking freely about the continually growing list of taboo topics and bludgeon those who violate their rules. The author gives an example of a useful debate on marriage that was silenced by twisting his words. Elites also create entitlement programs for less fortunate groups, which have proved ineffective and even detrimental to some communities. Black leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. supported self-reliance and self-help, unlike the liberal elites who believed that providing handouts is the solution to societal problems. The book calls for an end to political correctness and a return to honest and open dialogue. Ignorance and its harmful effects on American society. This book highlights the negative impacts of ignorance on American society. Ignorance of history, values, and others leads to bigotry and political infighting, resulting in harm to the country's unity. The author emphasizes the importance of knowledge of history and values in America's development, particularly the values of small government, individual rights, and citizen engagement in politics. The author argues that secular progressives' attempt to remove God from Americans' lives ignores the heritage that remains significant for strong moral social structures. Ignorance also leads to bigotry, which ruins social relationships and blinds us to the real issues at hand. The author discusses how segregated neighborhoods resulted from negative beliefs about races that were untrue and poisoned race relations forever. The message is clear: educating ourselves and understanding our values and others' experiences is crucial for a united, thriving society. America's Future, Debt Disaster. The author expresses concern about the future of America's children given the country's staggering $20 trillion national debt. Drawing from Greece's example, the author highlights how reckless spending, taxes, and debt led to economic disaster and created a population dependent on government support. The author argues that America must adopt fiscal responsibility and make hard choices to prevent a similar fate. In the upcoming sections, the author will propose solutions to reverse America's decline. Standing up to bullying. The author encourages Americans to stand up to bullying, particularly on liberal university campuses, where professors often penalize students with different views. Students should bring problems to the boards of trustees, and they can also publicize grievances. To encourage respect and compromise, name-calling should be avoided. The gun control debate is a good example of compromise, where both sides can agree to remove dangerous weapons from unstable individuals while disagreeing on the target of controls. The importance of lifelong learning. Learning is essential not only for personal prosperity but also for the stability of society. An educated populace can scrutinize politicians and evaluate their actions based on their record rather than just promises. Education also plays a crucial role in employability and financial stability. However, obtaining expertise does not equate to wisdom, and it's important to use knowledge judiciously. The media's so-called experts are not always right, and formal education is not always the key to success. In essence, lifelong learning and application of that knowledge is essential for an individual's and society's prosperity. The case for personal responsibility in helping others. The author argues that personal responsibility and compassion are better than government handouts in helping those in need. Capitalism is praised for recognizing this idea, and low-paying jobs are seen as a path out of poverty. However, if people are simply irresponsible, they should face the consequences of their actions, rather than rely on others. The author suggests that individuals should take charge of helping their close ones instead of relying on the government. Finding good role models. The author of the book talks about his experience growing up in a neighborhood with limited role models, looking up to doctors as his heroes. He points out that sports stars and entertainers, while commendable for their commitment and ambition, fail to intellectually contribute to society. Children should look elsewhere for their role models, such as their mothers, good teachers, or historical figures. The author believes that America needs more vision and direction, as politicians have replaced the original vision of the U.S. Constitution with their own ideologies. The key to returning America to its original vision is to understand the Constitution, vote out politicians who refuse to uphold it, and defend it from those who don't. The author encourages convening community meetings to learn about the Constitution and identify candidates that honor it to create an environment where diligent people thrive. The role of God in American morality. In this book, the author discusses the importance of God's guidance in shaping America's moral values and challenges the idea of relying on purely human-based morality. Americans have always searched for answers to moral dilemmas, and traditionally turned to God and the Bible for guidance. However, in recent years, faith in God and objective moral standards has declined, resulting in societal disarray. By removing references to God and the Bible from public spaces and the Pledge of Allegiance, America is faced with a choice between relying on God or man for morality. The author argues that morality is given to us by God and is not formed through evolution, and that God's guidance is necessary to preserve America's unity and future societal values. Ultimately, the book highlights the importance of seeking answers together as a nation to safeguard America's moral foundation.
Ben Carson's One Nation exhorts readers to reject political correctness, embrace education, defend the rights of the individual, and foster personal responsibility and self-reliance. By understanding the historical significance and foundational values of America, you can help shape the future of the nation and create a society where everyone has the opportunity to succeed. Fostering respectful dialogue and understanding between different groups of people is a crucial component in achieving progress and unity. As the author expertly reminds, an educated and active citizenry is essential to the preservation and growth of American democracy.